Ini ka samanas.
What?
Ini ka samanas.
Ni filme samanas.
Female samanas.
Ni filme samanas.
Ayo.
Butanyenge Zach, man, you're on fire right now. You've uploaded like what, 3 since last time? You've gone from not uploading anything for your first like several months to uploading a whole bunch, and soon you're gonna straight up catch up to me at this rate. If you haven't already by the time this actually comes out, because who knows when this is gonna come out at this point. But anyway, I digress. I'm still in the search for good angles. This is, well, as you can see, it got dark before I ended up filming today, and so this is what one I ended up with. It's pretty nice for me because I'm literally lying in bed. You can see my mosquito net, and that's nice and comfortable, but I have no idea if it's actually a good angle from... That's a lie. I can totally see myself. Anyway, it's been 2 weeks at permanent site, and what I've been doing here for the most part is making a map. I've been making a map of all the compounds and all the families in my area, and yeah, that's been, I think, a really good thing. I think other Peace Corps volunteers should do something like that. I think it's a great way of going around, because when you walk around making a map, particularly one that's what I'm doing, where I put the name of each compound. For example, I live in Jeju Kunda. Jeju is my last name, and Kunda is a word to distinguish that is the compound, kind of like the stead in Kerstad. What I think one of the big advantages of this, though, is when you go from place to place, you meet a lot of people. You get to greet a lot of people and hang out with a lot of people. They'll ask you to come sit down with them, drink a taya with them. You get to meet a bunch of the people who live in the village, and it's really great for integration. And for that reason, I highly recommend that other Peace Corps volunteers in the future, I'm going to tell them to make maps. In 2 weeks, I've gone around to over 50 compounds, and I haven't necessarily spent much time at a bunch of them, but I've still spent a lot of time with a lot of people, and this seems like a great way to get integrated. Listen, can you hear that donkey? All day, every day. I had a cultural insight. This is something that is about our culture, but it's Gambian culture is what made me realize this, and that is the extent to which prayers are a part of our everyday conversation. And prayers are a big thing in the Gambia, but there's different types of prayers. 2 big ones in particular. Muslim prayers, you pray 5 times a day, and that has its own sets of rules and complications that I don't fully understand. But then there's the much more common one, which is just people praying in short phrases that they say to each other, such as mitikati, which is thank you, or literally, interestingly enough, God stop you. I don't know why God stopping you is seen as a good thing, but that's how you say thank you in Jola. And the response to that is Amin. It's a prayer. You are wishing God's will upon somebody else. There are a bunch like this. I don't know all of them. I don't know a lot of them. There's a lot in the English language as well. The best example I can think of is goodbye. Now, as you know, a lot of people don't know, but as I know you know, goodbye is actually the condensed version of the phrase, God be with you. When someone is leaving, you say, God be with you, as a way of wishing them well. And it was eventually shortened into goodbye, just by everyday conversation. The shortening of words, that's actually another interesting thing, but that's something more for another day. Another interesting one is bless you. God bless you. People say it after sneezes, but people say it all sorts of other times too. What do you think that is? You think saying God bless you to somebody is not wishing the Lord's goodwill upon them? That's a prayer. There's a bunch of them in Jola culture. There's a bunch of them in Gambian culture. And I didn't realize this until now, but there's a bunch of them in our culture as well. And they're used all the time by everybody, religious and a-religious alike. And for a last thing of this week, in case you didn't realize, I'm filming this on Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve, and one thing I'm excited about is seeing how various other people in the Gambia celebrate Christmas. I can already see that Christmas traditions are radically different here than they are in America. For starters, most of the people are Muslim, so it, generally speaking, does not seem to be as big a deal. It's there, but it's like there's no air of holiday cheer. And to be honest, Christmas completely sneaked up on me because rather than getting a bombardment of Santa and sleigh bells and baby Jesus, there's nothing. That said, I did get to sit down and hang out with a bunch of Christians. Believe it or not, there's a bunch of people whose last name is Gomez in my town. Huge Gomez population, and they're all Christians. One of them told me their Christmas traditions. It's very Gambian. First of all, they have not one day of Christmas, not 12 days of Christmas, but 5 days of Christmas. And one of the big Christmas events that happens through all 5 days is a soccer tournament. I say a soccer tournament, I'm such an American. A football tournament. For the first 3 days, they whittle it down to the 2 final teams. On the 4th day, they have the 2 finalists go up against each other for, if I remember correctly, it was 1,000 dalasi. And finally, on the 5th day, there's the championship game. And I don't know if there's any kind of prize for that one, but you definitely get bragging rights for the next year. As for another thing, Christmas dinner, they slaughter a pig. That's a big thing, Christians slaughter pigs. Christianity here seems to be very synonymous with pigs and alcohol. Muslims aren't allowed to have pork or alcohol, and for that reason, Christians become somewhat synonymous with those 2 things in the Gambia. Especially alcohol, it seems. Admittedly, this is also somewhat to do with Peace Corps volunteers and other people who are from other countries, not from the Gambia, but there does seem to be this air of like Christians equal alcohol. And part of me wonders, do Christians eat pork because it separates them from the Muslims? One thing I wonder, wouldn't it be funny if pork was the Chick-fil-A of the Gambia? It's the big Christian thing that actually doesn't really have much of anything to do with the Bible, but people love it anyway because it has a slight cultural connection. I don't know if that's true at all. And I'm rambling at this point. And naturally, there's also dancing in church, the kinds of things that you would expect from a Christian holiday, the kinds of things that most people don't associate with Christmas anymore. For Christmas, I myself am going to be visiting another Peace Corps volunteer, a friend of mine who has been put with a Christian family and whose family does do a big celebration every year. So I'll be seeing if the Sarjo's traditions are anything like the Gomez's, and if so, then I'm in for a great time, a porking good time. Now, I feel kind of awkward because I haven't done a fun biology fact for 2 weeks now. This will be a full month without a fun biology fact. I'm sorry about that. I'll get you one next time. I have a good one. I'd like to do a little more work on it before I do it, but yeah, maybe next time I'll even go all out and give you like 2 or 3 fun biology facts. I'll also be doing some reporting on what actually happened on Christmas, what it was like, and maybe even getting some nice film out of it too. But until that time, muna soon.